Back on Titans Talk, the Titans a loser on Sunday, 43-35 in San Diego. An entertaining game to say the least. Titans were down 16-0, then 19-7. Drive before the half. Take the lead on the opening drive of the second half. Then it was kind of back and forth for a while. A couple catastrophic plays by Marcus Mariota. Turnovers that were returned for touchdowns ultimately did them in 43-35. But he finishes with 313 yards, a season high for passing. 3 touchdowns passing and a touchdown rushing in the game just to help the Titans even make it a game. So my question for you guys tonight, and phone lines are open, 737-7767, is 21 games into Marcus Mariota's career. How much are you encouraged by the big games that he's had and the big numbers he's put up and helped this team win? And how much are you discouraged by some of the mistakes, the turnovers, specifically the catastrophic ones like we saw yesterday, that damage the team's hopes to win? And we pointed out in the first segment a couple of games already this year, Minnesota in week 1 and yesterday, where those turnovers essentially are the difference. And maybe the difference right now between this Titans team being 4-5 or possibly 6-3. At the same time, take them out of the game against a team like Detroit, or maybe the game against the Browns or Jacksonville, some of those games. And where would this team be? How many wins do they have if Marcus Mariota isn't the quarterback of this team? Your thoughts on all this? 737-7767 is the number. And we go to Tim. Tim, thanks for waiting. You're next up here.
All right. I was calling to comment on a few things.
Sure.
Number one, on the booing, we've been faithful PSL holders since the team has been there. Sure, we've had a couple of bad years, but this year has at least been a little bit more exciting to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, number two, if we're comparing our quarterback versus Vince Young in 21 games, then at least we're moving in the right direction as a team with is the integrity that we have in place in terms of playing with heart. Lastly, if you look at the points that have been scored, that we've scored, and also the turnovers, the red zone, when he's under pressure, he's in the red zone, he's getting the job done. I think in the open field he's trying to be able to do too much, which is causing us a few turnovers. But as a fan, as a loyal fan, I think long term he's the guy that we need to continue to lean on for us to take us to the next level in the future.
Yeah, Tim, great call. I think part of it, and you're exactly right, Mariota, to this point of his career, 21 games, has 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the red zone. 28-0. That is absolutely absurd. And then you throw in the fact that he can run and make plays with his legs as well. That is a tremendous weapon when you get into the red zone. The thing the Titans have to figure out is how to get him to have the same value of the ball when they're not in the red zone. And I think part of the problem here is this still isn't a very talented receiver core. And so at times you really ask him to force the issue. And in the red zone, I think he realizes what's on the line, understands that, hey, even if this is incomplete, we've got points in a field goal. I'm going to be smart. At the 50-yard line or your own 30, I think he's often trying to make a play, and sometimes maybe he puts the ball in peril. I think if you have another offseason with John Robinson as the GM, you can increase that talent even more and maybe take some of the pressure off of him. And the other thing I think we've seen throughout this year is when the running game works, the pressure comes off of Mariota. Some of the best games they've run the ball this year, you look at the Miami game. Mariota was awesome in that game because he wasn't asked to do a ton. You look at the Jacksonville game. Mariota was phenomenal because, again, they ran the ball very, very effectively. That's the recipe. They want to be able to run the ball first and then let Mariota kill you. Yesterday, they were unable to run for whatever reason, and a big part of it was just falling down early in the game as big as they did. It all went on his shoulders yesterday, all of it. And for a long time, he did a great job of just getting him back in the game. Unfortunately, the turnovers did creep in there at the end. Let's go to Adrian. Adrian, hello.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, I just want to kind of chime in on what you were saying. I totally agree with you. I think with the sample size that we've had from him, I think he's still a young quarterback. He's going through growing pains. I've seen way more good than I've seen bad from him so far. So, I was frustrated yesterday with the interceptions as well, but I also seen the touchdown that he threw to our tight end, Delaney Walker. I seen the one he threw to Delaney Walker in the end zone. That was a small window that he put that ball into. So, I see things like that, and he's a second-year quarterback. We do have to get them help in their receiving core. Once we get a little bit more help out there, DeMarco had a rough game yesterday. I like the direction that we're headed, and we were 3-13 last year. So, we're 9 games in the season, and we're already at 4 wins. So, I'm optimistic to the point where I was happy just to see us get past 3 wins. So I believe in, being patient with what we're doing. I like what the GM's doing. I'm interested to see what we're going to do with those 2 draft picks that we've got next year. So I'm just interested in, seeing what we're going to do.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the call, Adrian. I think that's right. We forget this is a team that holds 2 first-round draft picks right now going into the offseason. John Robinson proved last year he could make moves and he could upgrade this roster. He did an amazing job in one offseason. He's going to have another chance. And this team has already taken significant progress. Think about it. They win that game yesterday. Or heck, even if they win this weekend against Green Bay, they would have 5 wins for the year, which would equal their total of the last 2 seasons combined. If they do it Sunday, it'll be in 10 games. I mean, that's progress. Now, is it playoff progress or division championship progress, which is the goal everybody wants? I don't know. It may be too soon for that. This team still seems to find a way to hurt themselves at times, and some of that goes on Mariota. Really good teams don't do that, and maybe they're not at that point yet. But I certainly think it's progress. Again, I mean, I look back the last couple of years, that game yesterday isn't close. That game yesterday is a blowout when they get down that big that early, or if they have the turnovers that they had. Instead, this team was resilient right down to even after the pick 6, they go down the field and get a touchdown. If the defense gets a stop at the end of the game, the offense gets the ball back down a possession. I think the resilience of this team is something else to be excited about with their progress moving forward. Phone lines are open, 737-7767, the number. Wayne has been waiting a bit. Wayne, we appreciate that. You're next up here on Titans Talk. Hello, Wayne.
Hello?
Yeah, Wayne, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, Steve. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, enjoy your program, enjoy the analyzing and so forth. I'd just like to tell the Titan fans that this kid just came out of school here shortly back, and can't expect him to play like an elite quarterback at this point in time. I'd like to get your thoughts on that. I mean, I can name you 2 elite quarterbacks that made a whole lot worth showing than he has. Yeah, Peyton Manning for one, and Brett Favre for another one, when they came out of school and playing that. I just, if there's one fault with the Titan team, they need to tighten up the back end of that defense, need some cover guys on the corners, and especially the safeties that can play more tight coverage. I'd just like to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Wayne, appreciate the call. We've talked about the secondary issues. I think it still is an issue for this team. I think that's what you're worried about this weekend with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers coming to town. They've got to be better at defending the pass. There's no question about that. And it hurt them early on yesterday. The other thing that crushed them yesterday was the inability to stop the run. This is a team that has stopped the run consistently, been very good in the front 7 throughout the course of the year. And yesterday, they get gashed. More than 200 yards given up on the ground. Melvin Gordon by himself had 196 yards rushing. That's 100 yards more than what the Titans have given up on average to opponents this year. That, to me, was maybe the biggest disappointment of yesterday's game, is just their inability to get off the field and do that. The end of the game there, 3rd and 7. You have them backed up chance to force a punt and get the ball back to your offense for a chance to go down the field and tie the game. They hand the ball off on 3rd and 7. That essentially should be, all right, we're going to run the clock, we're going to punch you the football, and we're going to hope our defense can stop you. And instead, Gordon's able to break 3 or 4 tackles, and he goes 47 yards. The longest run the Titans have given up all season long. And at that point, the game's over. To me, that's the real frustration yesterday, is the defense's slow start and their inability to adjust and truly stop that running game in Gordon throughout the course of the day. And back to Mariota. We talk about him being early in his career. Yeah, compare him to Peyton Manning. What Peyton have in his first season when the Colts were 2-14 or whatever it was? First year out of Tennessee as a rookie. Peyton have something like 28 interceptions, something like that. I mean, when so much is put on you and you are that young, you're going to make some mistakes. Marcus certainly isn't immune to that. Brett Favre, I don't know the exact number of years this goes in. It might be like 5 or something like that. But at a certain point early in Brett Favre's career, he had 73 interceptions and 57 fumbles. I mean, that is a ton of turnovers. But you know what he also did? He also made some huge plays, put up big numbers, and the Packers won a lot of games because of the offense that he brought. I think what you're seeing from Marcus Mariota is a guy that brings a ton of offense. He makes the Titans dynamic. And he makes them dynamic right now with a receiving core that frankly isn't that good. They rank near the bottom of the league in pretty much every statistical category. He's figuring out ways to be productive at a high rate with those guys. And yes, the turnovers sting. Yesterday's were awful. But I think you have to look at the good and understand what you have there. 23 years old. He turned 23 a week ago. 23. That's the future of your franchise. And to me, I think it's a very bright future. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, I'll keep hitting on this. I've got some interesting numbers to compare Mariota against some of the other elite young quarterbacks in football. Some of the guys you think are the best. We'll look at Mariota versus those guys, plus more of your phone calls. 737-7767, the number. Stay tuned. More Titans talk on the way after this.